Hello and welcome to another Snapshot video. Snapshot blah 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 on the screen. I can't remember. I never can. And today we're going to be looking at this. Well, mostly this. This up here is basically just a place where the kelp come in from a kelp farm. And this down here is a super smelter where we use dried kelp block to smelt whatever we want. But this in the middle with these smokers right here, this is where we produce dried kelp and then we turn it into dried kelp blocks to fuel the same furnaces, and the surplus of dried kelp blocks are going down here so we can use it in a super smelter. Hello dudes and dudesses, and welcome to yet another video. As I said in the intro, today we're gonna be looking at kelp farms, or rather kelp basically, because kelp again with auto crafting has become a good way of fueling your super smelter. And before it was tedious, there was a lot of intermittent crafting that you needed to do, and most people kind of forgot about kelp. Now, if we take a regular furnace like this, you probably know that it takes 10 seconds to smelt one item from up here. Now, if we just take this and then we take 20 exactly items, let's just take 21 so you can see what I mean, and then you take a dried kelp block and you put it in here, then you will see that one dried kelp block can smelt exactly 20 kelp. This is important. There's going to be a bit of math today, and to be honest, it's not really my forte. But then again, there's an element of math in almost every farm or whatever you build with redstone. Now, the reason it is important how many items that one block of kelp actually can smelt is because we want to make a system that uses the kelp to make dried kelp, to auto-craft it into dried kelp block, but we want a surplus. We want a surplus that we can use in another super smelter to smelt other things. So we don't want to lose or waste these kelp blocks. For instance, if we just put in like that, take these out, you can see it's still burning. It's still going even though it's not smelting anything. So it's important for our system that there's always 20 items here to be smelted. That's one thing we have to keep in mind. Now, the way that I have chosen to take care of that problem is to have a farm that's faster than this array right here. So basically you have a slight overcapacity in the farm compared to what you can do here. So you're sure that there will always be things to smelt in these smokers. And the reason, if I haven't said it already, we're using smokers is because for dedicated items, in this case kelp, a smoker can smelt things with double speed compared to normal furnaces, which means that it will only take 5 seconds to smelt a kelp. Now we know that it takes 5 seconds to smelt an item. We can find out how much output we need to keep up with this, or rather how much one slice can take. So we take 5 seconds divided up to 60 seconds, then we get 12 items per minute, meaning that one slice here can keep up with a farm that has an output of 720 kelp per hour. So basically this is 700, 700 and 700, 2160 items that you can have with this setup here. And it's easy expandable. As you can see, we just put in another slice. Each of these slices are standalone slices. They work by themselves. They are not connected in any way. So it's a separate module, so to speak. Now this looks complicated, and it actually is a bit more complicated than it needs to be, but let's just go through it step by step. We have the smoker here, and we have the kelp coming in here from up here. Then we need kelp blocks down here, and we get an output through this hopper into this crafter. This crafter will fill up with these dried kelp blocks, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And when it has 9, it has an output of 9 right there. And then it will auto craft, because if we have put another crafter right here, and you can see I've toggled these slots, so it has an output right now of 8, which means that this observer, when looking down at this piece of redstone, will only react when it reaches 9. If we didn't have this setup here, it would react every time a new item came in here, and it would click, 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 click. You could do that actually in this setup, because when it comes to dried kelp, there is no other recipe. It will only craft when there's 9, but it's noisy and it's not logical. So I wanted to show you the logic of this. So that's basically what's happening on this layer right here. And exactly the same setup we have down here. It's just another autocrafter. And the difference is that this autocrafter pushes up into this dropper and pushes it back into the furnace, which means it goes around like this. And down here, it pushes it out to this barrel and into these hoppers and into these chests. So this is actually the fuel for our super smelter. Now, how do we decide what goes in there and what goes down here? We need enough fuel to keep this going all the time, because if it runs out, it's like this, nothing is happening. It's empty and nothing is happening, and unless you manually put in some fuel, nothing will happen. So we don't want to run out of fuel right here. Then it's math time again. If we need 9 pieces of dried kelp to craft a kelp block, and we know it takes 5 seconds to smelt, then it's 9 by 5, which is 45 seconds to craft a dried kelp block. The part you see here, you probably recognize this. There's a slight modification right here, but otherwise it's a classic etho hopper clock. And an item in an hopper is 0.4 seconds about passing through to another hopper. So we know it takes 45 seconds to produce a dried kelp block, and we know it takes 0.4 seconds for an item to pass through this. So basically we take 45 and then we divide it by 0.4 and we get 112 and a half. And of course in hoppers it's half the time in an ether hopper club, so we just divide that by 2 and then we get 56.25 items. In here I have 57 items because I cannot have 56.25, and that's actually kind of an issue later, a small issue as I will show you. And half of the items will go here and get crafted, and half of the items will go here and get crafted. Now let's see how this works. If we put in one dried kelp block right there, and one right here, and one right here, you will see the furnaces start up. And you will see it disappears because it's being used. And you can see there's a lot of smelting time left. But you can also see that it's actually crafting dried kelp right there. Now, right now, this is not on, which means that the kelp goes down in here. And we should see it arriving right here. And one more. It takes 5 seconds. And in another 5 seconds, you will see one coming there, getting crafted and being put down here. When this turns on again, like that, you can see that the dry kelp will instead gather in this crafter up here. You can see like this, and we just fast forward the movie right now. And you can see it crafted, and it went up here and that went off. So you can see now there's a dried kelp block right here, and it's the same in all of them. And this is already used, and that's gone, and that's gone. Now, this means that this is going at max efficiency, meaning that it's only using the kelp block it needs to actually produce the result, which is the kelp blocks down here. Now, going back to this, the exact number we needed was 56.25, and we cannot do that. We cannot have a quarter of an item in here. So it's not really divided on the middle, which means that as time goes by, you will be able to see a difference. You will be able to see that this slowly builds up more and more and more dried kelp block, but it takes a long time. Now, a new feature in this snapshot is that you have this tick command, which means that we can speed the process up. So if we do like this, it looks totally crazy, but now it's going to max capacity, and you can see we have 3 Minecraft days going at an insane rate, and we will probably see 1 or 2 of these gather up here. So now it gets used, and there's 1, but at some point we will see that this becomes 2. And there you have it. Did you see it blinked 2 and 2 and it disappears? So now we're up to having 1 and sometimes 2. And if we have this running long enough, it will actually add 1, add 1, add 1. Approximately it will add 1 every Minecraft day. We need to have, or we want to have, a surplus rather than a deficit right here, because if there's a deficit, it all stops. The farm, or whatever you want to call it, the machine breaks. So it's better that it's building up than it's turning off. That means that roughly, if you are online and you're playing for just under 24 hours, you will have a new situation because you will have 64 here. And that's fine. That's actually, in some ways, that's even better than the setup we have here, because then it will only be able to push, the crafter will only be able to push in a dried kelp block whenever there's room. So we will never waste anything right here. But if we were to wait for that, then we couldn't start smelting right away. And that is the main purpose of this system. It is that from the very first kelp you smelt, you start producing surplus dried kelp so you can use your smelter down here. Now, this is a very, very simple smelter, and you probably maybe would want to do this differently, because in this system down here, even though it takes 10 seconds to smelt an item, the dried kelp block still smelts 20 items. And if you put in a stack right here and let it run over, you can do the math, but it's not 20 items in each, and you start a kelp block in every furnace, so there's some waste. But the waste down here isn't that important perhaps. Up there it's important because otherwise we don't get any fuel down here. Now, how much fuel can we actually get on a day? Well, let's test it. One day is over, so let's go down here and check this. And you will see we will have 41 dried kelp blocks from this setup in one Minecraft day. That's the equivalent of 800 items or 12.5 stack if we fully use all the capacity in each dried kelp block. Now, a couple of points of interest. As I said, this is an ether hopper clock, standard, nothing special, but we are using the new copper bulb right here because it's effectively a T flip-flop. So we get an input here and it changes state. It's not actually powered, but it changes state, and you can read that with a comparator, which means that it only changes or it permanently changes state when this changes. Otherwise, if you put, for instance, torch here, it would be a short burst, a short pulse, and what we need is a long continuous pulse, and that's what it does when we use this one. So that's why we're using this fabulous new block. Now if you go into my YouTube page and you hit search and you search for Kelp, you should be seeing this Kelp Master.
Let's get into it.
And it produces around 3,000 plus kelp per hour. So this farm would actually require 4 of the slices that I've shown you today. And how do I know this? It's because it's 3,000 plus kelp per hour. And if you divide that by 720, you will be able to see that it's a bit more than 4 of these slices to still have a bit of surplus to make sure that you never run out. Alright dudes and dudesses, that's what I wanted to show you today. I know it's a bit technical and a lot of math and stuff like that, but I just wanted to get it out there to you if you are actually looking at it yourself. So hope you enjoyed it and see you in the next one. Bye!